Alrighty, people, welcome in, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day here in the middle of week 7. We're excited to be here with you. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to digest. Updates on injuries, surprise injuries coming out of nowhere, which is awesome. Love to see that. And a lot to talk about. So I appreciate you guys for being here with us. Why don't we start off with some news, because that is always a good thing to get on the same page about. And the first bit of information, which literally came out of left field, is the Drake Maye report. Drake Maye underwent MRI after Wednesday's practice. We didn't hear anything about this after the game, during the game. We didn't know he was even going to have an MRI, or that there was some issue with his potential knee, or some potential issue he has a knee. So this is quite confusing, and it puts everything in question for New England. Obviously, if Ramondre Stevenson plays, he's a little bit less attractive. Same with the Pop Douglases of the world, and the Polks as a desperation, and the Bouttes as the stashes. If Drake Maye goes on the IR or misses time, that's just not something that we are no longer interested in. And I'll be honest with you guys, I mean, myself, I was planning on playing Drake Maye in our home league. I had Dak Prescott as my quarterback. He went on the bye. So I've literally got Drake Maye slated to play, and now there's a chance that he might not play. I mean, he looked so good in his first game. 3 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks, but was mobile as well with 5 rushes for 38 yards. And then just out of nowhere, he comes up on the not on the IR, but on the report. So that's something we'll have to monitor. I imagine throughout the stream we'll get more information. Ricky Pearsall came back to practice, so if things weren't already confusing enough in San Francisco, here's a first-round wide receiver for you. Let's make it a little more confusing. TJ Hawkinson limited in practice, so there's potential for him to play. Aaron Jones has not practiced. I thought it was a hip injury, but they're labeling it hamstring. I thought it was a hip.
For who again?
For Aaron Jones, I thought it was a hip injury.
It definitely was a hip injury. But maybe that's just someone that doesn't know what he's talking about, maybe.
Well, that is underdog, so we'll have to wait and see. Derek Carr, not going to play. Dallas Goedert, not going to play. Pat Surtain is out, so that does make Bub Memes pretty interesting as a spot start this week. Cooper Kupp, there's potential for him to play. We'll have to wait and see. Stevenson is not practicing. Nick Chubb is a full practice. I don't really know. I don't believe he's going to get like the full workload coming back week 1. We'll talk about that in a video this week. Travis Etienne was limited in practice, which is, again, really confusing. I did not think he would practice. They labeled him week to week with an injury. And if Travis Etienne goes out there hobbled again, it would be like a 3rd straight week. Please don't do that, Travis. That would make everything way more confusing. Achane looks like he's going to go this week, which is great. Jordan Mason was practicing. Brian Robinson was practicing, one of my favorite plays this week. Trey Sermon didn't practice. Neither did Jonathan Taylor. Taylor keeps saying that he feels better, but we got to get some limited practices in, like Joe Mixon, to see him back out there. Neighbors is going to play this week. The Saints are going to be without Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed might go on IR. He's been dealing with an injury to his knee. Meniscus surgery is what they're calling it. So keep in mind, you probably won't have him for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Olave is a multi-week absence with his history of head injuries. Don't get me started on the modern-day helmet. Jacoby Myers is going to practice. He's a great spot start this week. Jonathan Brooks limited in practice. Chuba Hubbard managers are fully clinched. The Chuba Hubbard that you could not be more clinched if you're a Chuba manager right now. Like, please don't do this. Russell Wilson took first team reps. I'm not gonna yell again. The Bills are uncertain if Amari Cooper will play in week 7. I think even if he plays, I'm not gonna put him out there.
Yeah. I agree.
Tajay's not
Wasn't
going
gonna
to
put
play.
him out
Devontae
there.
Adams will go. That's pretty much most of the information that you guys need to know, or most of the information we have not covered. I appreciate y'all for being here with us. Do us a favor, smash that like button to show some love. Got a like goal today of 75 likes. With your help, I think we can get there. And here's the deal. Here's how this entire stream is going to go. We're going to answer as many fantasy questions as we possibly can. All right, so if you're out there and you need fantasy questions answered, the good news is we're here. We are here to help, and we will do our absolute best. Now, there's different ways that you can prioritize a question, right? So, for example, every time we stream, and you guys are getting much better at submitting questions to the website, every time we stream, we will always go to the website questions first. So you can see we have a list of questions here from people, which is great. That's where we'll start those questions for today. You can check out the pinned comment in the chat. I also pasted the link in the chat for you again. It'll take you to a link, a website that looks like this, where you can get your team reviewed. You can ask a trade question, a start sit, a super message if you want. If you don't have an account yet on Flock Fantasy, go sign up for one for free. By using the promo code LAND at sign up, you'll get access to expert rankings, the trade calculator, and this My Team League Analyzer, which is great. As long as you play in a Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo League, you will be able to link up your league. For example, I can show you the Flock League here. You can see ya boy up top right now with expert consensus rankings, which is cool to see. And you can see where you rank amongst the rest of the league. Both your boys actually top 3 in expert consensus rankings. You and I'd say we have some of the best teams over there. So yeah, great free features over there. Again, use the promo code LAND to unlock some of those for free. And then, of course, once you link your team, it'll be so easy to ask a start sit. For example, I can go to my Dynasty League here to automatically update my settings for me. And then I can say, look, guys, I know I'm going to play Lamar Jackson, but at quarterback 2, I'm considering Andy Dalton and Trevor Lawrence. I need your help. At my flex spot, I am definitely playing Tony Pollard, but at my second flex, I'm considering playing Ramondre Stevenson, Tajay Spears, etc. Right? So that's how you would go about filling out some of those questions. We appreciate y'all for being here with us. Much love. Of course, you can donate a super chat, but the website questions will be prioritized first. And yeah, that's just how it works. We appreciate you. If we have time and there's no donations, of course, we'll get to the regular questions as well. So let's start off with Javrin. This is a trade question, Badaki. And
yeah, Javrin.
He says quarterback is Allen and Geno. He's got Gibbs, Pollard, Hunt, Chase, Wandell, Polk, Tolbert, Waddle, Jamo, and Laporta likely. Gibbs and Pollard are interchangeable for Kupp and Ramondre. So the trade offer is Jahmyr Gibbs and Tony Pollard for Cooper Kupp and Ramondre Stevenson. And we have been preaching to buy low on Cooper Kupp. This does not feel like a buy low to me, though. This feels like paying a premium, especially with Tony Pollard, how good he's been. I mean, he's being utilized. His utilization is like top 5 right now amongst running backs, top 5, top 10. He is the offense. He looks great. And I don't view this as a buy low. So I think we can think of a counter for him, unless you disagree with me.
Nah, I agree. This is a lot, especially in the star 7. And yeah, I love Cooper Kupp, but I think in the star 7, maybe a little bit of risk aversion as well. Maybe trying to get somebody else. But yes, I would love to counter this as well, especially if you are above 500, because I think that's pretty key.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the guy doesn't have another running back that really like. Ramondre Stevenson is kind of the running back. He's not going to give you Derrick Henry.
No.
So this trade doesn't feel like it's going to mesh well. Here's what I'll say. I would do this trade straight up, right? Gibbs for Kupp. I would do that personally. I've said this very openly, that I would have Cooper Kupp as like a top 5 wide receiver rest of season when he comes back. I'm not going to play scared with him, potentially being injured, especially in a 10-team start 7. He could definitely be the definition of a league winner. I mean, the guy got over 20 targets in his first game before getting injured. So that would be my counter, is just a straight swap.
No, I definitely understand. Man, Gibbs, Pollard, Hunt, Pollard and Kareem Hunt, and then you get Cooper Cup. I guess that helps your wide receiver room. Um,
Yeah, his wide receiver room is pretty weak for a 10-teamer.
it definitely is. Look, I would say I'm okay with that. I think I know Zach was saying he's not going to play scared. I will. I just want somebody, even though we can't predict injuries whatsoever. I think the chances of him re-injuring is higher than somebody else right now. So I think I just want to. I love Cooper Cup. If I can get him on a low, sure. I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs is the low. But I would do the trade that Zach's saying, but I will also be targeting somebody that I feel a little bit more comfortable with.
Okay, how about
Once
instead
again,
of Gibbs, we make it Pollard, and we throw them Wandale?
sure.
Does that make
Like
you more comfortable?
that makes me very comfortable. Is that
Okay.
going to happen? Not sure, but let's go out and try and
Okay.
do it.
Well,
Um,
now he's got some options. And by the way, when you guys submit a questions through the website, it'll send you a time code to exactly when we answered it. So you don't actually have to be on the live stream waiting like a super chat. It will send you a time code to exactly when we answered it on stream. The next question is from Want a Sandwich, and it's Alvin Kamara for Jefferson straight up. It's a one quarterback, 14-team league, start 7. In a 14 team, I imagine the running back position is decimated. So
yeah, I'm interested who you have. He doesn't have his team linked either. I wish. Look, I would say this feels very fair, but I agree. In a 14-team league, Alvin Kamara is probably just as valuable as Justin Jefferson, and depending on who you have. Like if you're selling Alvin Kamara and you have a Zach Moss, it's like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if you should be
yeah,
doing that.
I guess that's fair.
Um,
Like if you have reasonable running backs like a Pollard and like a combination of like a Pollard, Mason, Chase Brown, because a 14 team, right? So they're not going to be as good. But I think I'd be willing to take the Jefferson side of this. The other thing we have to think of, and I don't think Kamara will be that negatively impacted, is there is no Derek Carr or Olave, and we don't know how long that is or what that will look like for the offense. This is
sure,
pretty even,
sure.
honestly. I think if he has like a decent running back room, I'd go Jefferson,
I'll
but
be
it's
I'll be
close.
okay with that as well. Yeah, I completely agree. It
If
is
your running
close.
back room is decimated and you losing Alvin Kamara means you're starting Zach Moss and, um, like Tajay Spears, then no. And that is a realistic possibility in a 14-teamer. All right, we got a trade question here from unknown user. I don't know if that's their username or if that's just
Or it's just
we don't know their username. Either way, super mysterious, bro. 10 team start, 7-1 quarterback PPR. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want the David Montgomery side. David Montgomery, Drake Maye, Wandell, and you receive Martin Harrison, Chuba Hubbard, Tony Pollard. I mean, we kind of just saying the top of the stream here. Jonathan Brooks is practicing. What is that going to look like? I think it's going to take him a couple weeks to get the full workload, but that opportunity is still there. That option is still there. So I want Monty, London, and Wandell.
I agree. I'm not like worried about Marvin, but I am worried about Chuba, what Jonathan Brooks could do for him. So I just think
Yeah,
there's a lot more safety with the Drake London side of this deal.
completely agree.
The German, okay,
The
says
German.
Deutschland says, I will also have Jordan Mason and Juju. It's a start sit question, a one quarterback 10 team start 8. And let's dive into it. Starting Brock Purdy, Alvin
Yeah.
Kamara,
hmm
Kareem Hunt. He also has James Cook. Would you start James Cook over Kareem Hunt?
Yeah, I would.
I would as well. He has Jordan Mason and Juju. Okay, so Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper. I don't think I'm starting Amari Cooper this week, even if he plays. I'd love to know what his other options are. For example, I'd like to put Kareem Hunt at my flex, and I would rather start Wandale at wide receiver 2. I just don't trust Amari. It's different than Devontae Adams. I trust Devontae
Yep.
Adams. He already
I
has
agree.
inbuilt chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, decades of it. He is familiar with the offense that they run. Amari Cooper's joining a brand new team, brand new offense, has never caught a pass from Josh Allen, and is in a terrible matchup, by the way. It's not a plus matchup for him this week. So there's a lot of reasons for me not to be excited about Amari Cooper this week. But would you start Worthy, Cooper, or Lockett at the flex? Or Jordan Mason? Because Jordan Mason would actually be my answer if he plays.
I would say I would want to start Worthy over those guys. I feel like it's not the best matchup for Jordan Mason against the run.
Okay.
And I think this technically should be a high scoring game or decent scoring game with the Chiefs and 49ers. And I just want that upside there. So I will be going Xavier Worthy. But at the same time, I see.
Sorry, I just realized Sam Green was in the chat. He said, "Give me Iguodala."
I didn't even notice.
That's hilarious.
That's funny. But he also has Juju. I mean, would you start Juju or Xavier Worthy?
I would start Juju over Xavier Worthy. That's where I was gonna go, but I would start Mason over both of them. I know it's a bad
Over both of
matchup,
them?
but it's just one of
Sure.
those offenses where I just feel like it's one of those offenses where you just start your guys regardless of the matchup. So if Jordan Mason plays, I'd play him over these names at flex. If Jordan Mason doesn't play, then I'll go Juju.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'll go Xavier Worthy, but I
Okay.
completely understand.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy's. Do you like to party? I mean, not every
And
party
it's gonna
works
give
out.
it to you.
Hopefully that's helpful.
Gosh.
All right, we've got a question here from Rivels. Says, "Hey guys, crazy to start May over Stroud. Green Bay defense is real. Jacksonville's awful." So this is hilarious. So look, I was starting Drake Maye in my home league because I had no one else. Like my quarterback
Yeah.
was on bye. So if you have CJ Stroud in a high over under Packers Texans, I think you just got to start CJ Stroud here, especially after the news of May undergoing an MRI on his knee.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and look, once we understand that, you would have you. I think if Drake May plays, I think Zach and I wouldn't be upset if you start Drake May over CJ Stroud. But yes, I mean, at the moment you had to start him with the unknowns of Drake May. But look, MRI could just be last time a quarterback got an MRI on his knee. It was JJ McCarthy, and he was out for the rest of the season.
I rebuke that in the name of
I don't want
all
that.
things good.
I don't want that to happen, but I feel like if I remember correctly, that was a less MRI on a quarterback.
What's wrong with this guy? I mean, come on, try and see the bright side in something. Good Lord, you're making us all depressed.
If anything, I'm the optimistic one.
Not
but
today.
yes.
We're going to go
Not
CJ
today,
Stroud
Junior.
in the flex. Well, this is funny because Pop Douglas would have probably been my answer here.
Yeah, if Drake May plays, Demario Douglas, no question. If Drake May doesn't play, I personally would probably be leaning either Josh Downs or DeAndre Hopkins here. And
Yeah.
you guys have known me all off season. I don't love Josh Downs with the thought process of Anthony Richardson playing. And I just feel like if you need a decent floor, maybe it's DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, I'd argue that you probably have just as bad or a worse situation in Tennessee with Will Levis. So I'm going to go with Josh Downs. Pop Douglas would be my answer if Drake May plays, if it's a great matchup for him. But for me, it would be Josh Downs. I just think he's the best receiver on this team, honestly, even over Pittman.
And he didn't practice. But he didn't practice last week, early in the week, and he played.
Yeah.
So
that might be
can
just
definitely change.
planned, rest. But for me, this is Downs. This is in order. Pop if May plays, Downs, Hopkins. I'd actually probably play Waddle over Hopkins because it's a good matchup. I just don't trust Will Levis personally. But you would go Pop, Hopkins, Downs. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's helpful, man. Appreciate you. And let's all be hoping and praying that that May is going to be okay. This is looks like a Dynasty team review, which we'll get to maybe later in the stream from Billy. I appreciate you, Billy.
Yeah.
Joel Lentini says, my team is Allen, Saquon, Kenneth Walker, Chase, AJ, Kraft, Tyreek. I feel like Amon-Ra lacks AJ ceiling, but higher floor. So basically, the question is Amon-Ra St. Brown or AJ Brown.
Uh, I think it's a knock, really. I think it really just depends on your preference on who you like. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, AJ Brown, you're probably not seeing him on a week-to-week basis and kind of comparing the numbers with Amon-Ra because he missed the last 3 to 4 games. So, choose your poison. I would be going Amon-Ra though.
Yeah, I think it's fair to ask the question because the target share is starting to get concerning because they have so many good weapons that they really want to get involved. You know what I mean?
Are you looking for AJ or
No,
Amon?
I'm talking for Amon-Ra. I mean, if you look at four out of those 5 games, he has under 10 targets. Outside of that one game where he had 18, I mean, he's averaging about 6 targets per game outside of week 2. That is kind of concerning to me, and maybe it's going to be different moving forward, but call it crazy. I think I'm actually going to take AJ here.
Okay.
I think I
fair.
actually understand the concern. It's not
like
anti-Amon-Ra. It's just there's just so many weapons, and this team also might just every week it might be Monty and Gibbs. Devonta Smith is a clear number 2 in his offense. He's never been a threat to AJ's targets. Dallas Goedert is going to be out for a while, and he was getting like 3 targets per game when he was healthy and those other receivers were healthy. So to me, this is AJ, honestly, but it's close. Okay. I think it's so close. It really is a wash.
Yeah, it's a wash for me, but I can definitely understand that thought process there. Hakuna Matata.
Hey, by the way, guys, if you want your question answered and you do plan on donating, best way to do that is via the website. I'll put a link there in the chat for you. Easy way for you guys to ask us a question, get yourself prioritized, and also an easy way for you to support the show. YouTube does take 30% of your donation on a super chat. So, I know you guys are donating and you want to support this show. The best way to do that is through YouTube or through the Flock Fantasy website.
Flock Fantasy, yeah.
Now, of course, if there are super chats and we will get to them, we just are going to start with all of the website questions. But Hakuna Matata here, a start sit says, love y'all. I'm 5-1 up against my hubby this week. I don't have the best players. Help. Well, you're 5-1.
You're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing pretty well. So, I mean, let's look at it. Quarterbacks here, Josh Allen, Drake Maye. You start Josh Allen. You start your stars there.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson, and then you're considering here Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard, and Jordan Mason. For me, this would be Tony Pollard.
Yeah, top 10 play for me this week in a great matchup versus the Bills. At wide receiver, deciding between Pop, Juju, Ladd. That's really those names, Pop, Juju, and Ladd.
For me, this would be between Ladd and Juju. I just like Ladd's matchup a little bit for me. Better personally. Like, that's kind of where I'll be leaning. But I guess like in the flex, you can then start Juju or you can go Mason. I know like maybe Zach will be considering Mason, but I'm gonna go Juju Smith here. I think with that injury, with that shoulder injury, that kind of leans for Mason. He can't lead with his shoulder. When he falls, he's gonna get fallen on the shoulder. So I think that could easily be re-injured, or it's just not something he's going to want to deal with this week, but I'm going to go Juju here.
Okay, well, I think there's a lot of context to the flex for me. Firstly, if B-Rob doesn't play, and he's on track to, but if Brian Robinson doesn't play, Austin Eckler is my 100,000% my choice here versus the Panthers.
Sure.
Now, assuming Brian Robinson does play, my next option would be probably Pop Douglas, but if Drake Maye doesn't play, I would go ahead and say, my next option would be Jordan Mason if he plays. Assuming Jordan Mason doesn't play, it would be Pop Douglas, but if Drake Maye doesn't play, it would be Juju. So that's a long-winded answer, but I'm just going to put Mason in there, and they will hear the context behind all of that.
Yeah.
Like I said, don't like the matchup, but it's a half PPR league. Start 7, and you're on a great offense with Jordan Mason. All right.
Alexandria is the next one. Neil. and there's no context here. It's really just redraft one quarterback, 12 teams start, 7 PPR. Garrett Wilson, and they receive Debo Samuel here. I still want Garrett Wilson long term.
Mm.
I don't know how you feel. Let me see if there's anyone else here. I would try Garrett Wilson or Terry. I know that's something that we kind of spoken about.
Yeah.
But once again, you could potentially get more. So you can get Terry and something else here. Like,
Well, I think most people would have Terry over Debo now, though. Don't you think?
I'm talking about Garrett Wilson. You mean Garrett Wilson?
Um,
Sorry, over
sorry,
Debo. They're receiving Debo. No, they're giving up
yeah,
Garrett Wilson to get Debo Samuel.
I understand that, but your counter was Terry plus. I don't think Terry gets you a plus.
Sure. I get what you're saying now. You're right. I don't think Terry gets you a plus. So maybe just Garrett Wilson for Terry, if you like.
Yeah, I mean,
How would you feel about
write
that?
it out with Garrett here, but
I get what you're saying. I at least from my perspective, when you're listening to this, or maybe you're in the chat, my perspective is that this could be like a 1A 1B. So we're going to see boom bust games from both of these guys, or it could both of these guys are going to have great games. But I think 1 week sometimes is going to be Devontae Adams, the other week is going to be Garrett Wilson. I think the floor is still going to be there. It's going to be a safe floor. Garrett Wilson is probably going to get you 12, 10, 13 fantasy points, but he's not going to be getting you the 22 plus points he just had the past 2 weeks
not on a
anymore.
consistent basis, but
Not on a consistent
he
basis,
will.
exactly. So
Yeah,
yeah. So that's why maybe Terry is the right way, especially with the way Jaden Daniels
well,
is playing. You just
my next question here is: do you want 2 commanders? Because he already has Brian Robinson.
I'll be okay with that with the running back wide receiver. So
Okay.
I
All
think
right,
if you
look,
had
that's
like
an
AJ
option.
Brown and Devonta Smith type vibe,
That's an
I wouldn't
option
like
there.
that.
You could go for Terry. I do technically have Terry over Wilson by 1 spot in my rankings, but I don't know that I would want both of the commanders. Not that it's a bad idea. I mean, it's one of the best offenses in the NFL right now. But yeah, that's a really tough call, Alexander.
about-
It comes down to a gut call there for you.
Yeah, you also have Chris Godwin there. Like, would you take Chris Godwin? That could be another
Oh
option.
yeah, I
And
just don't
then,
think anyone's
like, I would
selling
even
Chris
throw
Godwin.
something. I'll give you Chris Godwin and Jalen Tolbert if that makes it happen. I don't know. I mean,
You mean Garrett
have
Wilson
Brian-
and Tolbert?
Garrett
That's not
Wilson,
gonna
Garrett
move a
Wilson and
mountain.
Tolbert, and Chris Godwin.
You're gonna have to get a little more beefy here.
Roma Dunze.
Yeah, I mean Rico Dowdle is probably gonna have to be the name.
Sure, give him Rico. I mean, you have Brian Robinson, and who's the other running back though?
Or Tyrone. He has B. Robin Gibbs, so he's fine at running back.
Yeah, you're fine. So I'll be okay with either of those running backs. if you
Ideal
really
scenario,
wanted to
you
do
get
that.
Godwin here. Terry's a straight swap, which isn't bad. I don't like the Debo side of the deal. So
I agree.
hopefully that helps. It really comes down to a gut call, a conviction on those players. And, you know, as much as we want to say we can predict the future, reality is we can't. Better to be honest with you than just lie to your face. All right, if you guys are watching the stream and you don't know what's going on, we're answering questions through our website. Great opportunity for you to support the show and get your question prioritized. There is a link in the chat. If you have donated a super chat, we will definitely get to those. We just prioritize the questions on the site first. It's our promise to anyone who donates through the site. Brando, it's a trade question. 1 quarterback, 10 teams start 8. One side gets Daniels and Marvin Harrison. The other side gets Lamar and Josh Jacobs. And this seems like a pretty straight swap to me. I don't have a strong opinion either way. If you need running back help, I'm fine with it. This is about as even as it gets, I'd say.
Yeah, say less. I completely agree.
And I do think there's positive regression for Jacobs coming soon. In the touchdown category. But yeah, it's a dead even trade in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Another one from Brando here. He says one quarterback, 10 teams start 8. One side gets Chase, the other side gets Ken Walker and Terry. I love Chase, but I'm definitely taking the Walker and Terry side of this.
Agreed. Especially you get value, you upgrade at the running back position potentially. Let me have a look and see if you have.
It is a start 8-10 team though.
He has Monty and Travis Etienne right now, so I think that's a great upgrade at the running back position. and
Yeah,
he
that's
also
actually
has
probably needed with the ETN
he
debacle and
has
Mason maybe losing his job soon.
he has Martin Harrison, Nico Collins. So you get Terry, you have Michael Pittman, you have Rashid Shaheed, who's injured right at the moment, Christian Kirk, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah,
So
this
like,
seems like a win-win. I mean, ideally you want to
yeah,
keep the best player in the trade, but Ken Walker, I mean, look, there's potential that Ken Walker could finish as a top 5 running back this year. He is dominating all touches. He had 8 targets in back-to-back weeks. That raises his floor so significantly.
yeah,
So yeah. This is a pretty even deal, I'd say. It is. And I think it makes sense for both parties. So someone
completely
asked
agree.
the question in the chat, do you prioritize super chats? And Uncle Coconut, yes, we do, my friend. I mean, we have said it many, many times on the stream. We appreciate you guys, but we said at the beginning of the stream, I've said it about every 5 minutes, but just to relate to you guys the way the stream's going to go down, any questions that are asked through the site, we always promise people that those will be the first questions answered. When those questions are done, we will get to the super chats. We would highly encourage you guys, if you do plan on donating, first off, thank you, very kind. Secondly, try and get it through the website. Multiple reasons why it's better for you. Number one, you don't have to wait around for your super chat to be answered. Our website will send you a link with a direct time code to when your question was answered. You won't have to wait around and wonder when your question was answered. It's an incredible feature for you. And by the way, if you don't have an account yet on Flock Fantasy, go ahead and sign up for one for free using the promo code LAND. You'll get some of those features on the site for free as well as a thank you. But yeah, that is the way the flow of the stream is going to go. We appreciate y'all. The next trade question is from Crush, but guys, every super chat will get answered. Don't worry. The next question is from Crush. It's a trade question. He says, running backs are Najee, Javonte, and Moss. Wide receivers are Jefferson, Chase, Reed, Devonta Smith, and Dell. Should I tier down? I don't really like this tier down, but it's a start 11.
Chase, Reed, Devonta Smith, Tank Dell. Running backs are Najee, Javonte, and Moss. I think this is a huge upgrade to your running back room, which I think this might be worth it because you're not going to be wanting to start Najee, Javonte. Moss looks like he's about to lose his job. Javonte has been, I mean, all these guys really have been unstartable outside of Moss for, I think, 1 or 2 weeks.
Are we sure this isn't a dynasty question? Because this is a dynasty question. It says redraft, but it's a dynasty question.
How do we see that? Or where do we see that?
Because the reason that I think this is a dynasty question is because there are picks on his team. And there's a lot of names that should be on waivers in a redraft league. Like, for example, Michael Mayer, Deneric Prince, Jawar Johnson, right? Names like Dylan Lobb and Justin Ross. So I think this is a dynasty question. And that makes me say no.
Yeah, this will make me say no as well, just purely based off of, I mean, just one name, James Conner. I don't want him on my dynasty team on a long-term perspective. So I would agree. No, if this is redraft, I'll take this every day.
Yeah,
I need help.
I'm just going to let our devs know. So, I mean, is there any counter you want to put together there or...
I'll have a look to see. I mean, let's just take James Conner out because I think Jonathan Taylor and T. Higgins are a good starting foundation, but maybe there's something else you could potentially get added here. Or what you can do is just, I doubt you can. I see this guy has Bijan, Travis Etienne, James Conner. I mean, my first instinct is to go to like a pick, right? So it doesn't look like you can get any other running backs here or maybe a low end wide receiver. I'm looking maybe for, maybe I think Jamar Chase right now is worth like 3 first rounds. T. Higgins worth the first, Jonathan Taylor worth the first. Can you get another first here? Or see what you can do. I think picks will be the best way to go because there's no one else on this team that I would be wanting to add unless it's like a...
Yeah. Overall, I'm just thinking dynasty, you got to keep Chase. I mean, look, if you can remove James Conner from this equation and make that a first, that makes it more interesting to me. But outside of that, I think I'm keeping Jamar Chase here.
Yeah, I agree.
Because what if T. Higgins goes to a place you don't want him to be next year and James Conner loses his job? In dynasty, we just got to think about it totally differently.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I completely agree there. So
All right, Jan here with a start sit question says, please tell me your opinion on who to start. 12 team full PPR. Nico, IR. Oh, this is Jan. This is Jan, I think, who used to super chat. Now he's on the site. Awesome to see. 12
thank
team
you so
PPR.
much, man.
Nico and IR. Thanks for the content. Much love. So we're starting Kyler Murray. We're starting Ken Walker, Derrick Henry. At receiver, he's considering Debo, Wilson, Waddle, Kupp, Thomas, Jason. I'm starting Cooper Kupp if he plays. If Cooper Kupp
Agreed.
plays, he's my wide receiver 2 this week. After that, I think you got to put Garrett Wilson in there still.
Agreed.
I think at your flex, you're going to be putting in Debo Samuel, and you're going to be putting in Brian Thomas.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Okay, cool. Same page so far. At tight end, he's considering Tucker Kraft or David Njoku.
Tucker Kraft is hard to gauge still. David Njoku just has the better pathway right now.
Yeah.
Now that Amari's out. So I would be going Njoku. I know he's back. He's full. He saw 7 targets this past week. And I'm going to go there because he should be the number 1 target there. I think even ahead of Judy, ahead of all those other guys that are there.
I'm pretty indifferent on this answer myself. I do slightly lean Kraft, and the only reason I say that is because at tight end, I typically want to chase either volume and a floor, which is Njoku, or upside in a good offense, and I think that's Kraft.
Sure.
So that's really close. I think the upside play is Tucker Kraft. I think the floor is David Njoku, and they'll get a time code with this answer with both of our opinions there. So overall, pretty great. This is a 12-team league. That's one hell of a roster.
Yeah, that's great. He killed it right there.
That's impressive.
No doubt.
I
love it.
All right, next question is from
Bexy?
Zeki. Yeah.
Bezeki, yeah, it says Puka IR back soon, thinking of swapping out Bijan for Monty, then AJ for Garrett Wilson, Debo and Juju for Jameson Williams, I'm assuming. Okay.
Well,
all right, so let's just look at the trade because that feels a little bit confusing there.
Yeah.
Bijan for Monty. Anyways, so you're receiving Juju, AJ Brown, Jonathan Brooks, and you give up Tank Dell and Bijan Robinson there. So the way I'm seeing this is Bijan Robinson for AJ Brown is a straight swap, and then you're getting Juju and Jonathan Brooks for Tank Dell essentially.
I like Juju, as a stash right now and a potential spot start, but Tank Dell is a must play, I think, until Nico's back, and then things get confusing. I wonder if there's a counter out there. And when you guys link your teams, by the way, this is what makes the question so great. We already know what both of your teams look like in your league. It's so great. But okay, Juju, can we turn Juju into something else? Like, what about? Oh, I thought that was Waddle.
Raheem. There's not really much unless we counter and give something more.
What if we Man, nah, I don't really like this, actually. I'm sorry. I just don't think the guy has the necessary players to make this move. I guess you can make it Jameson instead of Juju.
Yeah, the only other thing I would say is, like, maybe you take away Jonathan Brooks and Juju, see if this person is worried about Garrett Wilson, and maybe we can throw something his way on top of that. Can we throw George Pickens his way? Can we throw Rashid Shaheed? And that might be difficult now. Can we throw Josh Downs his way? But it just depends on how that person is gauging Garrett Wilson now with Devontae Adams.
You couldn't pay someone to take Pickens right now, so it'd have to be Downs.
Yeah, but, so I mean, if they need Downs and they like Downs, which kind of they maybe want him, but that's kind of where I would go and pivot. Because Tank Dell is going to give them viable weeks, right? Same thing with Josh Downs, especially with the way he's been playing. If they believe in him, go out and try and upgrade to Garrett Wilson.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. Yeah, honestly though, I'm not like the biggest fan of this deal. If it's Dell, Bijan, I think I'm holding that side.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not doing that either.
But I like the idea of getting AJ Brown. I just think it needs to be Jameson instead of Juju. But by the way, if you lose Bijan Robinson on this team, like, hold on a sec. If you lose Bijan, who are you starting? at running back.
Let's see.
This team has no running back. They have Corum, Rashawn Johnson, Zach Moss, Jalen Warren. That's it. That doesn't. You can't get rid of Bijan.
They have Monty.
Sorry, you're right. I'm an idiot. I was reading the wrong side.
They only have Monty.
They only have Monty.
They have Monty, Tank Bigsby, excuse me, Braylon Allen. So
I think you need Bijan here.
Losing Bijan here is not the smartest.
Anyway. All right, that's a lot of context. Hopefully that's helpful. The next question's from Chrome Football. Says, any changes? Plus, which defense/special team this week? Saints, Cincy, and Rams. Let's start with that question. Saints, Cincy, and Rams.
Gosh, I think all these are great streaming options this week.
This would be Cincinnati for me.
Yeah, I'll be going Cincinnati as well. They're going to bully down the Browns, and that's exactly what you want to be a part of. And they got two good defensive players back. We kind of saw that against the Giants. So I'm going to go Cincinnati.
Agreed.
I think they play at home as well, which is good. Sorry.
Yeah, at flex they're considering Ridley, Kirk, and Waddle. So they're kind of down bad. What about Benson if Connor's out?
Yeah, if Connor's out, I would go. What's his status? Did he practice this week? We haven't really heard of James Conner dealing with the ankle.
Yeah, no update. I doubt he'd practice as a veteran with the injury.
He has the Monday night game, so I think it might be a bit tough going for you. And if you want to risk it, you think James Conner's not going to play, then you might not be able to start Christian Kirk because he plays on the early slate games, and then you have Waddle. So I would go Christian Kirk personally, but if James Conner doesn't play, I agree with you. Let's go Trey Benson.
Okay, yeah. So Benson, if no Connor. Outside of that, for you, it's Kirk. For me, it would be Waddle. Just prefer that matchup versus the Colts for Waddle. So tough call though between both of those names. But let's just put Benson in there for now, and they'll get the time code from our question and be able to see it. There should be some more questions here that the site hasn't updated on just yet. Oh my gosh! Wow, you guys are incredible. Okay, let's just it's Dev here. Says, looking to get rid of Ayuk and want something that has a higher, safer upside rest of season. Yeah, I mean, I think I prefer Higgins rest of season. What about you?
Yeah, I think this is just in the same tier for me. I think it's a wash. I like what T. Higgins has been doing for sure, and he feels like the safer play. But technically, I still have Ayuk higher. But pick your poison. I'm not really upset if you go to T. Higgins or not.
I've got Higgins at 21. I've got Ayuk at 25. I just think if Ayuk was getting the target share that Higgins was, it'd be easy. But Higgins is getting targeted the same way Jamar Chase is right now, and that offense is throwing the ball more than many. So it would be Higgins for me. But it's a close call. Manny says, my friend wants Hurts, and I'm wondering what other players y'all would add on each side to make it fair. Okay, well, firstly, we're not big Anthony Richardson people. So let's find a counter. But remember, his friend. Okay, so you're gonna send away Jalen Hurts in a 14-team league. Let's give some context real quick. If this was a 10-team league, it'd be easier to send away Jalen Hurts because there are probably a lot of quarterbacks on waivers. In a 14-team league, your waiver wire is probably pretty thin at quarterback. And that makes Jalen Hurts even more valuable. Why? Because you can't find a top 5 quarterback on the waiver wire. You can't find a league-winning quarterback anymore at this point after your draft. So in a 14-team league, respectfully to your friend, they're going to have to pay up. And Anthony Richardson is not something Badaki and I have had much interest in really at any point.
Like,
I mean, so
gosh. Look, I don't think there's anyone on this team that I'm willing to give up, especially, or I would want.
Okay, hold on though.
14-man league.
Sorry to interrupt, but he has Baker Mayfield. So that's enough for me to try and exploit this and get a superstar receiver.
I didn't see Baker Mayfield there.
Why don't we have a look and see it?
Well, okay, let's look at his running backs. He has Saquon Barkley, and then he has
Rico,
Josh Josh Jacobs, Rico and Josh
Josh
Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Okay,
That's
so
a
I
pretty
mean
good
that's
group.
okay. That's a decent running back room. Wide receivers, he has
Lad,
um
AJ,
Juju
Debo.
Smith, Jerry Ladd, Debo, so and AJ Brown. So it looks like you could use a better wide receiver too. The
I
first
think
person I see on this player's team is Jaden Reed. That
Jaden
is
Reed,
one of the,
yes. I think
also Tyreek Hill.
it might be easier to go the Tyreek Hill route based off of what is currently happening to him. I don't even want Anthony Richardson back in the deal, by the way. But we'll rock with Baker if we're going to send away Hurts. So could you get Tyreek Hill straight up right now? That would be great for you. If you can't do something like that, how about Tyreek Hill and you give him Jalen Hurts plus, do we want to throw Juju in there or Pop Douglas, for example? Right? That could be another option. If you
Right.
don't go the Tyreek Hill route, then I love Jaden Reed as an option. I don't think in a 14-team league where quarterback is so important that this is an unfair offer for straight up. So, yeah, I think those
that
are
would
the
be my
type of
preferred
deals
one.
you should be looking at.
Tyreek Hill or Jaden Reed straight up, I think. And honestly, like if he wants something else, I don't think I'm willing to give up. And I mean, honestly, I'm happy to throw in something, but it's really small, like Jerry Judy, sure. Demario Douglas, sure. But like if he wants more, I'm not sure if I can then go
No,
to that
no.
route.
I'm not going to
Um,
give you like Lad
like you
McConkey
wouldn't
and
give him
Hurts here.
Lad
It's no
or Tank
way.
Bixby or like
Yeah.
yeah, no, you just want to give the small throw-ins. If not, you'd be like, all right, it's all good, man. Like I know you need a quarterback, so just let me know when you're ready. um, that's what I would
Yeah,
be doing.
exactly. All right. Hopefully that is helpful, man. Appreciate you big time. Helios is the next question here. Josh Jacobs, it's a start sit question. Josh Allen, rather. David Montgomery, Derrick Henry at wide receiver. They're deciding between Marvin, Jacoby, Waddle, Wandale,
God.
CD's on bye, Lad McConkey. So if
So
Marvin plays, I think you put him out there,
yeah,
but I don't think he plays. So let's
yeah, it
assume
needs to
that
give him
he's out
options here. Yeah, okay, I agree. For me, this would be Wandale and then Lam McConkey,
on the same page there.
and then
They're
at
all in the
flex,
same tier, though, by the way.
yeah, and at flex, this is gonna be Josh Downs. Oh, you have Jordan Mason here as well. It says
I know.
I would start Jordan Mason over. Actually,
I would.
I actually don't love Jordan Mason because of what I said earlier. His injury is a shoulder injury, so as a running back, you need to lead with your shoulder, and that's going to be a little bit tough for me. But I will go Josh Downs. But I can understand if you
He
starting
did.
wanting to
He
start
did come
Jordan
back
Mason.
into the game last week, and if he's gonna play, I assume he's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
But
I can understand that.
if
So
Jordan
I'm happy
Mason
with
is
either.
out, this would probably be Jacoby for me, actually.
Jacoby didn't practice today, so I think
I,
he's
I,
also going to be out.
I know, assuming he plays, if he does.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with
Um,
that as well.
but if Jacoby doesn't play, then I would go Downs.
Da, 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 da,
They're all
down,
so
down.
close. I mean, that's a very complex answer. Hopefully, that's helpful.
Whole
Whole milk is king with a trade question. Says, yo, made
Thank
this
you so
trade
much.
today. I no longer have two Detroit backs on one team and slightly risky stack. I honestly think everyone would want two Detroit backs on their team, but let's have a look at the trade here. Sent away Monty and Devonta, got back Brees and Marvin. That feels pretty fair to me.
That does
in fact,
that does feel fair.
I like the
Um,
move to Brees long term.
Exactly, especially with Devontae Adams, that's going to open things up for him. In my opinion, I mean, apparently they were double teaming Garrett Wilson the whole time. In the first 3-4 weeks, I think, according to Aaron Rodgers, and now with Devontae Adams, I think a lot of defenses are going to be finding a problem trying to double teaming both of those guys, which should open up the box for Brees Hall. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, awesome. All right, L Jet is the next question through the site. Says, "What's up, guys? 5-1, trying to improve the lineup a bit. What do you think?" So it looks like one side gets Monty Smith and Brian Thomas. The other side gets Breece Hall and DK Metcalf. 12 teams start 7. And they're trying to improve their starting lineup here. I really like this idea. I feel like you're giving away too many quality players, though. You know, like, the idea is smart. But the range of outcome for Brian Thomas is not... Like, it's not like he can't be DK Metcalf for the rest of the season. Clearly, DK Metcalf is an upgrade over Smith and Brian Thomas. But range of outcome here, I don't think you're... there's too much risk in sending all 3 of these names away. Like, if we can take away Brian Thomas and make it Devonta Smith and Juju, right? Devonta Smith and Tyrone, that makes more sense to me.
I would say since you're 5-1, I agree with Zach. Like, it feels like you're giving up a lot, but I'm willing to make this risk because I do believe, like I kind of just mentioned about Breece Hall, there could be a significant opening for him. We can see a higher upside. I think DK long term, I would still want over Devonta and Brian Thomas.
Okay.
But I do agree, it just feels like a lot right now. And plus, your team feels stacked. You have Cooper Kupp, Nico Collins. Obviously, those guys are injured. With Drake London, you get DK and Breece Hall. If these guys were healthy, you would have a crazy team, but that's not the case. But you're still 5-1. So I'm willing to risk it, but at the same time, it's like, I agree, it's a bit much.
Yeah, I think it's just too much, man. The range of outcome for Devonta Smith and Brian Thomas is they could be just as valuable as DK. It's not like you're getting, you know, what's a good example here? I don't know. Tyreek Hill, for example. Yeah, it's just too risky for me, honestly, but I get it. I think if you can make it Juju, the other option is removing Devonta Smith if they prefer Brian Thomas and making it Juju. The other option that you could consider is removing one of those names and then, let's say, like adding Jordan Mason and then receiving back like a Jonathan Brooks, for example. That's another option for you. So 3 options for you. I think you're giving up a little too much, but I love the overall idea, right? So the next question here is from Glide27. Is this a good trade? Go ahead and read this one out for us.
Yeah, Glide, is this a good trade? So you are sending away Amari Cooper and receiving Josh Jacobs and Jameson Williams here. And I think if you are in need of a running back, I'll be okay with this. And I love the J-Mo upside play. So looks like you have Chuba Hubbard and you have Tank Bigsby with Bijan Robinson as well. So yeah, I think you do need the upgrade, especially with Jonathan Brooks coming back from IR officially has that window opening. So give me Josh Jacobs and J-Mo.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty fair deal. Like, Jacobs and Amari feels pretty close rest of season. So yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I might try and see if they can turn Jameson into something else, like in an 8-team start 7. Can you make that Jaden Reed for me instead, and I'll send you back Josh Downs or JSN or Wandale. That feels like better just with it being such a small format, but I think it's pretty fair. Frizzle, this is a start sit 14-man, currently 1-5, first in points allowed and 13th in points for. Hopefully Mixon and Bijan can finally carry me. So at quarterback, it's between May and Murray. And right now, if May's not going to play, it'll be Murray. But I think if the MRI comes back and they're clear and it was just precautionary, I would still put May out there, personally, in that matchup versus the Jags. So that's a lot of context needed. We've got Mixon, Bijan, Zay, Smith. We're starting Hunter Henry. And we're only going to do that, by the way, if May is playing. If May's not playing, I think you need to look for another option. At flex, Olave's out. Pop Douglas is an option if May plays again. To me, here's how I would play this flex position. If Etienne's out, it would be Bigsby. If Etienne is in and Drake Maye plays, it's Pop. And if May is out, it would be Juju in that order for me.
I agree with you. I'm just messaging the dev. Sorry.
Yeah, totally okay. Cool. Okay, so next question is from Mr. Green 0915 says have Dowdle and Dak and DJ Moore on bye, Chubb on the bench, and Rachaad White with injuries. Tyrone Tracy on claim for tomorrow. So it's a start sit, a super flex 10-team start 8. Murray and Daniels is one hell of a quarterback combo. Really well done with that. Then we've got Derrick Henry, Breece Hall at wide receiver. We're choosing between Brian Thomas and Michael Pittman and Pop. I will go Brian Thomas there myself. A name I said to sit last week because of the matchup, but this is a better matchup. We feel comfortable playing him. At tight end, I would play McBride for sure. And then at flex, we're choosing between Achane, Pittman, Douglas. I think Achane is a safer play here. It's a pretty decent matchup for him as well against the Colts. I know Tua Tags isn't back yet, but that would be my answer there. Yeah, I think that's a pretty damn good lineup too, man. You should feel proud of that lineup. All right.
Yeah.
Donovan Melendez says, who should I start sit specifically at running back and quarterback? Any trades I should make? I'm 2 and 4. So at quarterback, it's between Goff and Kyler this week.
I'm going Jared Goff. I want a part of that offense. Kyler Murray most likely without Marvin Harrison. So I think Jared Goff's ceiling just feels significantly higher this week.
No Marvin definitely makes it tough, and
maybe not even no James Conner. Sorry to interrupt.
No James Conner.
Maybe not even no James Conner as well. So no James Conner potentially, and no Marvin Harrison is like, ooh.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. I would go Jared Goff as well. Minnesota is tough to beat on the ground, but this is a great run game, but you can beat them through the air. In a high over-under, that's where I would lean. Devin Singletary. So here's the deal. Well, honestly, you have to start Devin here because you have Jordan Mason or Isaac. Isaac's coming off Jordan Mason. Yeah, I mean, that's really what you have to do.
Agreed.
Is there no one else on the waivers at running back?
In a 14-man league, it might be a bit tough.
It's a 14-teamer. That's fair.
Yeah. That might be tough to kind of... I mean, maybe if Alexander Madison's out there, I might want to start Alexander Madison over Singletary. Would you?
I would, but I think in all of our 12-mans, he's rostered.
Yeah, he is.
So that's going to be tough. All right. Yeah, as far as trades, I mean, if I was in your position, I'd probably wait on Jonathan Brooks. If you're 2 and 4, you kind of need to turn CMC into something. So let's give a list of names that they could turn CMC into and we'd be happy with at the running back position. For example, if you can turn CMC into any of the following names: Ken Walker, Montgomery, Bijan, Breece, Achane, Mixon. I think that makes sense to do. Kyron, Alvin,
yep, I'm
Gibbs.
there with you.
So you can have, you'll lose CMC and his potential when he comes back, but you'll have startable league-winning running backs until CMC is back, and you're 2 and 4. So I think that's really your main trade piece. You can't trade Kyler right now. It's tough to do so. I wouldn't move Jamar Chase or Evans in a 14-man. I mean, your wide receivers should be carrying you to more wins. Kelsey's back. I think patience is the key here outside of CMC.
Yeah. I agree. Completely agree.
All right. Next question is from the Dennis family. What's up? Dennis family says,
how you doing?
Who to start at quarterback, and can't remember what decision y'all made at running back and flex. Thank you, guys. So, at quarterback, well, we don't know. Options. There were no options here. I know the Dennis family watches. Are they here with us? Can they tell us?
Yeah, just comment in the chat. You guys are normally here, so we'll definitely continue to answer these other questions here. Considering Travis Etienne and Rachaad White, I think if Travis Etienne plays, I would still rather play him over Rachaad White, especially in that matchup because Rachaad White plays the Ravens this week, which means you have to start Rachaad White and Tank, which sucks.
Well, Travis and Tank, yeah, I agree.
Travis and Tank, yeah.
At wide receiver, I'm probably going to be starting Jameson over Amari Cooper. Don't like the matchup for Amari, and he has, between him and Adams, he has a lot more to catch up on with his new team. And then at flex, I think Dobbs is probably your best option.
Yeah, I agree. He's in the chat though. Dennis family says Love and Baker. I would go Love.
Yeah, hard to sit Jordan Love, right? I mean, yeah, he's my quarterback 4 this week, but Baker's a great play as well versus Baltimore. I'm probably playing Baker over Joe Burrow in the Flock League this week.
Mm, mm. Gosh,
So
that's a tough one.
it's a fair question. So
He also says he has Singletary. You start Singletary over Tank. Like, I guess if Rashad White, sorry, if Travis Etienne doesn't play, then you start Tank and Devin Singletary, and that just makes your decision easier.
yeah, probably
But
because the matchup is terrible for Rashad, and there could be 3 running backs involved there.
agreed. Yeah, agreed. Shout out
Appreciate
to
you,
Sean
Dennis
Tucker.
Family.
Come on, Sean Tucker. Talk it up, baby.
Bro, it's funny because if Rashad White comes back, he'll probably have like 3
Dude,
touches.
we just need Zach Evans to make something of himself.
I know. Super message from BXR dude who says, "Great story. Someone dropped James Cook. Guess who I picked up right now? Oh my gosh, that is wild."
You see that? I don't see that.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and tell our devs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's wild, dude. That someone dropped James Cook in your league. That makes me feel like I'm important to this community. The fact that there are people out there who think it's okay to drop James Cook makes me feel I'm important to this community and needed. But I appreciate you, BXR dude. That's very kind of you to donate, and congratulations on getting a free starting running back. That is wild. Okay, we still have some questions through the website, so let's get to those real quick here. Brando, for example, has a trade question: Jamar Chase or Puka and Evans in a 1 quarterback 10-team league? I think you keep Chase here because we don't know the timeline of Puka still. It could still be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's really tough to balance right now. I'm still going Chase.
Yeah, I'm going Chase there as well.
Hello, Tez, with a trade question. And it says, also receiving Devonta Smith and Njoku. So this must be a different trade. Let's start with the first trade they submitted. They received B-Rob and Cup. They send away Bijan and Brian Thomas. And personally, I like this deal. I don't know if you do, but I just think Brian Robinson is one of those reliable names rest of season. He is 5th in rushing touchdowns this year, and he's already missed a game. He plays the Panthers this week when Cooper Kupp is back and healthy. I think he's a superstar. There's clearly more risk on this side. I think Bijan and Brian Thomas is a safer play. But how do you feel about this trade?
Yeah, yeah, I'm okay with this trade.
It's close.
I've been saying this. I think this is a huge risk because if Cooper Kupp comes back and gets re-injured, which we can't predict it, sure. I'm looking at the team here. There's no one else that I would go. Like if you told me he had like a I don't know, Terry, even though that you probably don't want both of those wide receivers, both of those teams plays on that team. But if he told me he had maybe like a Nico Collins, right? Sure. If he had like a
But Nico's already injured.
No, I know. I'm saying actually
the reason you're not getting Kupp is because of an injury concern.
Yeah, so that's probably a bad example. But anyways, I do like this trade. Overall.
I honestly think it's even. He also said also receiving Smith and Njoku for Ayuk, Puka, Chase Brown. Should I try and get Kupp? I don't like the Smith and Njoku trade personally. But anyway, hopefully that is helpful.
Smith and Njoku, yeah.
Jakub here with the start sit.
I'm there with you.
It's Purdy, Gibbs, Walker at wide receiver. They're considering, you got to start T. Higgins, and you got to start Deontay Johnson, right? At flex, this is really tough now between Pollard, Dobbins, and Jacobs. I think my answer is Pollard this week, though. Great matchup, top 10 play for me at the running back position versus the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Awesome. Appreciate you, man. I think that's all the reviews for now.
Just a report here. The knee issue didn't limit him at all. May also held the usual Wednesday morning press conference for New England starting quarterback, so there was nothing out of the norm there either. This is 32 beat writers.
Okay. So this is an update on Drake Maye. The knee issue didn't limit at all. Also held usual meetings. Okay. Okay. So it seems precautionary, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully.
All right. Heads up, guys. If you want to prioritize your question, you can do it through the website. I'll put a link in the chat. It's also the pinned comment anyway. And if you don't have an account over there, go ahead and create an account for free on Flock Fantasy with the promo code LAND. When you sign up for an account for free with the promo code LAND, you're going to get a couple things, a couple premium tools for free, and I'll show you just quickly. For example, the My Teams Analyzer, as long as you play in a Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo League, you'll be able to see that for free. For example, you're looking at the Flock League here. You can see your boy at the top, Badaki in third in rankings here. You've got the expert consensus rankings, the trade calculator. Those are some free tools when you sign up with the promo code LAND. But let's get to the super chats now.
Yeah.
First one on YouTube is from Michael. Says trade Stevenson and Bucky for Puka. I like the Puka side of that.
Yeah, give me a Puka side.
Yeah, I think
no doubt about it.
That's a good risk to take on, I think, there.
Hello, Tess. Says Burrow or Dalton this week. I'm going Joe Burrow this week.
Yeah, I love the matchup for Dalton, but can't sit Burrow, I don't think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sir Yeti, how you doing? He says my fantasy team is the exact same as Kami's 4-2. Always Jacoby or Dobbins, or Jacobs or Dobbins. I love that. Give me Josh Jacobs this week. Well, actually, I think J.K. Dobbins is a good argument because I think this team is down a lot. Like, there's no Marvin Harrison. There's no, obviously, James Conner potentially. And they could just run away with this game. And that's what it feels like right now.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But you still have Kyler Murray. You still have Kyler Murray, but I'm still gonna ride Josh Jacobs. But I can understand starting J.K. Dobbins there.
Yeah, this would be Dobbins for me. Only reason is because, like you mentioned, the matchup is good. Cardinals are very beat up. The entire offense is built around J.K. Dobbins. So yeah, that'd be my answer. Eric, what's up, man? He says, brutal this week. AR or Kyler? More importantly, need 3 out of these 5. Let's start with AR or Kyler. I'm still going to go Kyler Murray. I just need to see more from Anthony Richardson, personally.
Is it crazy to say, like, I would start... I might be looking to the waiver wires. Is that crazy? Is that genuinely crazy to say? Because what if would you start Geno Smith or Kyler? Once again, Geno's been throwing the ball more. He's the top 5, if I'm not mistaken, quarterback right now in the season. He's probably not that. It's probably not that anymore. He's top 7. He's quarterback 7, question. Averaging 18.3 fantasy points a game. Kyler QB9 averaging 17.6 fantasy points.
I think I still put Kyler out there, but it's close. I'd start Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold or Drake Maye over him this week.
What about Andy Dalton this week against your Commanders? Just give an option.
No, I'd still go.
Okay.
Kyler.
I would go Geno if Geno's available, but I understand. Completely understand.
Yeah. The rest of the question is need 3 out of these 5 half PPR between Chase Brown, Ladd, Watson, Juju, Goodson. Oh, you are diving deep here, but it would probably be the first it would probably be Brown, Ladd, and Juju for me.
Chase Brown, Ladd, Juju. Agreed.
Watson's not a bad play, by the way. I just think Juju is a safer play. So, thanks, Eric. Appreciate you, man. Lee Daniels here with the donation and says, traded Laporta for Devontae Adams, Vidal, and a 3rd. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Traded Laporta for Devontae Adams, Vidal, and a 25 3rd. Yeah, no. Especially in the Dynasty, give me Sam Laporta. Devontae Adams, no other wide receiver. Vidal, no thank you.
That's...
One of the things that I was talking or trying to figure out about yesterday with Devontae Adams is, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was just on contract until 25 in Vegas.
No, they extended his contract.
Did they? Okay, never mind.
A part of that trade, they extended it, I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong.
Okay.
But I'm
Because I
pretty
was
sure I
gonna
saw
say
that
like
report.
that would be crazy if he just comes here for like what is it, 12 games or less than 12 games now?
Yeah, nah, they wouldn't.
Um,
They would have to have those things in place, Look,
yeah.
I know Laporta's been rough, but he was still the tight end last year as a rookie. Tight end one last year as a rookie. I just think you should have, like, quite frankly, I feel like there should have been much more to this offer. Like, I feel like this should be Laporta. You sent away Laporta in a second. You got back Adams in a first. That's what it felt like. It would make more sense to me. I guess, like, honesty is what we try and push here. Honestly, I don't like the deal in Dynasty. Richard, what's up? Richard says PPR start James Cook or Kareem Hunt. Start who given matchup, Geno or... Okay, so let's start there with James Cook and Kareem Hunt.
I'm starting James Cook.
Yeah. That's probably the right move. Both have tough matchups. Yeah, James Cook is probably the right move. Yeah. Also, matchup with Patrick Mahomes or Geno Smith. And I think this is where I go Geno Smith.
I agree. I'm going Geno Smith.
Patrick Mahomes, my quarterback 15 on the week, by the way.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not a surprise. It just hasn't been up to par right now at all.
I got a video coming out soon, so I won't say too much else on Mahomes. It's been rough.
I'm just saying he's quarterback 22 on the season right now. Not
even
too
surprising.
Good.
That's what's sad.
Jason
is next, but I just wanted to give a highlight to Matthew.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say we should answer Matthew because my goodness, thank you so much for the support, man. That's amazing.
$100 donations from Matthew. I mean, that is quite crazy. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. That is very kind to you. I think now you and Sal Vetri are our only $100 donations on the channel. So appreciate awesome. You, man. That's very kind. In the comment says, Koalas, please know you are amazing, and the fantasy community commends you both for your efforts, energy, time, and research. You both are leading the pack in this community. Now, who's going to the awesome. AFC, NFC Championship, Super Bowl, and winning it all? First off, very kind to you. I mean, look, this is not an over-exaggeration when I say this. The only thing Badaki and I do is fantasy football. Like, it's our entire lives now. It's every moment of our lives outside of being with our families is how do we improve the channel? How do we improve the Dynasty channel? How do we improve our research? How do we improve graphics and the way we present information to you guys? So very kind of you, Matthew. It's good to see that you guys awesome. Recognize some of that love that we put into it. And this is actually a great segue to let everybody out there know that we have a Dynasty channel. I don't know if you guys know that. During the offseason, our Dynasty channel dominates our time and effort. So if you aren't into Dynasty yet, or you want to get into Dynasty football, it's a great way to play the game. It's super fun. We'll be talking about so many things in the offseason: trade targets, rookie rankings, rookie mock drafts, sells, buys, how to value rookie picks, strategies, etc. I mean, there's so many things that we talk about in the offseason. So definitely go subscribe to our Dynasty channel if you have yet to do so. I'll just paste that link in the chat there. And almost at 15K over there on the Dynasty channel, which is cool. Just released some new content over there as well. But
yeah, no, appreciate it's been amazing. Man. We appreciate you, Matthew. That's awesome.
All right, NFC, AFC. I gotta say the Chiefs. And you know what? Let's have fun. Chiefs Commanders.
Oh gosh.
Let's have fun, baby. Chiefs Commanders. My two teams facing off. And this is the question I always get. All right, Zach, if it was Chiefs Commanders, who are you? I mean, I'm rooting for the Commanders. That was my first love. That's what I grew up into. I grew up into the Commander fandom from a little baby, and then moved to Kansas City when I was 11. So that would be fun, man. That would be fun to see.
Yeah, it is going to be fun to see. Look, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to pick two teams on both sides, and then we can just go from there. AFC, I see the Chiefs, and I see the Ravens. NFC, at the moment, I see the Lions, and I see the Packers. No disrespect to the Vikings, but I'm not sure if Sam Darnold's going to take him all the way there. He's never played in a playoff game. Jared Goff and Jordan Love both have played in playoff games. So I think both of those teams will make it on the NFC side. So pick and choose after that. But those are my 4 teams that I think are going to go all the way. After that, I really don't care. I would love to see the Lions win the Super Bowl.
No,
How about that? I want the Lions to win the Super Bowl.
that would be fun. I'm
I'll
not
give
gonna
that.
lie. I'm not gonna lie. But the Cowboys are gonna win it all, right?
Oh, I mean, of course, the Cowboys win it all every year.
Any Dallas fans out there, I have no problem trolling you into oblivion. All right. I mean, you put it on yourself. If you're a reasonable Cowboy fan out there, I actually want to say sorry. There's probably 1% of your fan base that is reasonable and not obnoxious. So if that's you, shout out to you. All right, I'm gonna show you some love. But to every single one of the other Cowboys fans, I will troll you into oblivion. I don't care if you hate me and I'm unsubscribed from the channel. You're gonna have to deal with it. I hate the Cowboys. All right, Jason, appreciate you, Matthew. Jason says, Achane, Gibbs, Jacobs, Brooks, Tracy, Lamb, Tyreek. All right, what's the question here? Should I pick up Douglas or Juju or stash running back handcuffs? Is Tracy worth the spot? So, he's got Lamb, Tyreek, Marvin, Brian, Ladd, Devonta Smith. This looks like a smaller league.
This does look like a smaller league. I would just say this. I want to roster Juju, and I also want to roster Tracy. Now, everyone that you named here, I'm not dropping for either of those guys. So if there's somebody else on your team that you can drop, sure. Also depends on who that is. But I'll pick Juju up over Douglas, and I'll pick Tracy up over Douglas as well. At least at the moment for me. But that can easily change, especially the way Drake Maye has been playing. So
yeah. Yeah, I'm going to agree with that.
Answer that for me.
Ed is the next question. Sup, brothers? Pick 3 to start non-PPR. Brian Robinson, Ken Walker, Kareem Hunt, Dobbins. For me, in order, this is Ken Walker, Brian Robinson, and J.K. Dobbins.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Myra.
Or Kamara this week. Yeah, thank you so much for the super chat, Myra. Brees or Kamara this week? That's a great question. I hate Thursday night matchups, and I love Kamara, even though he's really the only weapon. Give me Brees hold.
Okay. Yeah.
Just even more of an opportunity for this team to stack the box on him. No Chris Olave.
I don't like Brees Hall's matchup more.
Sure.
This is Kamara for me. I hate Pittsburgh as a matchup, and there's a lot of weapons. I think we could see 10 targets for Kamara this week.
Hey, and that is a fair point. Uncle Coconut.
If it's no PPR, Brees. If it's PPR, Kamara.
I'm still gonna go Brees either way, but I understand. Uncle, 12-team PPR, Ayuk or Bigsby in the flex. I'm going Bigsby if Travis Etienne doesn't play. I just like the matchup against the Patriots. But if Travis Etienne does play, I'm going to Brandon Ayuk.
I'm just gonna play Ayuk. I'm gonna make a video about Ayuk tomorrow or in 2 days, and you're not gonna like it if you're an Ayuk owner. But I still think this is where range of outcome wise, I just put Ayuk in there.
That's fair.
Robert says trade away Dell and Chuba for DK.
Trade away Dell and Chuba for DK.
Bad idea getting ahead of the Brooks move, but I think you should be able to get more.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think you should be able to get more there.
I like the direction. I like the mindset, but I think we need more.
Yeah, agreed there. Carlos, pick 2, 1 running back and a flex. I'm going Monty and Josh Jacobs. I know Tyreek Hill has a decent matchup, but I'm still going the running backs. I just cannot trust Tyler Huntley, and he could have the boom game, but I'm just going to go with the safe floor with both of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Tyreek Hill's a good matchup, but those floors are just safer, like you mentioned. Dominic says Piastri over Norris W stream. I love it. And honestly, I'm with you, bro.
Come on.
I think because we live in Australia, so my wife's Australian, your wife's Australian. I don't think your wife watches F1, but my wife does, and Piastri's her favorite driver after Daniel Ricciardo, who's obviously now moved on. But yeah, I'm with you, dude. I mean, I think Piastri's got insane upside as a driver.
I actually think, look, I haven't been following the F1 this year just because I felt like it was a down year and et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, I actually was thinking about this coming into this year. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Oscar overtakes Lando to be like
Yeah.
the face of McLaren. But at the same time, that's such a difficult decision to make. And I think if they do make that change, I think Lando's gonna be like, I'm gone. Like,
Mm,
send me somewhere
where
else.
does he go then?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, but like, I think that's what he would want to do. But
Right.
I personally think, I think there might be conversations in the back end of like, okay, Oscar is our guy, but he is. No one knows. They
Mm.
just know. You know.
Yeah, well, the reality
Anyways,
is if right now McLaren has the best car, and if they continue to have the best package, then Norris isn't going to leave. You know,
yeah, yeah.
that's
But
what
you have to make those
drivers care
decisions
about the
when
most.
like, but when you have two really good drivers, and it's like, okay, who's your number one though? Like that has to be established.
Mm.
Which I think if they continue and it goes into next year and they both are killing it, it's like, okay, well, y name somebody, please. Anyways,
You know what's funny is
yeah.
sorry, this is not a super chat or anything, but someone said, "Why do you keep looking at the guy in the glasses?" I just realized that the way I look at my monitor, it looks like I'm looking at you on stream.
Yeah, and I always look away from you if I'm not. I think
Yeah,
I always look this way
change
most
your
of the
monitor,
time.
bro. Let's be looking at
Nah,
each
I
other.
don't
It'd be
have
cute.
room here. I don't have room over here.
Anyway, Safe and Sound is the next donation. Says pick one: Harris, Madison, Vidal, Mixon. Is RB1. For me, this is probably Najee. I will say Madison if Zamir White's
Oh,
out.
Mixon. No, you pick Mixon.
Mixon is already their RB1.
Aaron?
That's what they're saying. Mixon
Oh,
isn't an
Mixon
option
is.
here. We're picking between
I'm
the
so
first three.
sorry. I read like the first. I read those names. Um.
This is Madison if Zamir White is out.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I'm
it's
going Madison.
Najee.
I'm going Madison.
Yeah.
Gil. He says, "Who do I flex? Garrett Wilson, Chase Brown, Bigsby." We would go Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, completely agree. Safe and sound. Play Juju or Addison. St. Brown wide receiver 1. Flowers wide receiver 2. I've been saying this all week. I just want a part of this game. Vikings Lions. I would be taking Addison here over Juju. I think Addison this week on the Fancy Shorts channel, he's one of my starts of the week, so I'm gonna go Jordan Addison.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Love Jordan Addison this week. Great play with that matchup. Tim Brooks here says 12 team Herbert AR 15 start 2. And then, okay, so Justin Herbert or Anthony Richardson. I think that would make me lean Anthony Richardson because we know with Herbert, the ceiling is so capped. And this could be the week he breaks out, but this would be AR-15 for the upside for me. And then between the two names of Pittman, Myers, Downs, and Pop, there's a lot of context needed. For example, if Jacoby Myers plays, he'd be my first preference. Now, if Drake Maye plays, it would be Myers and Pop. But if Drake Maye doesn't play, it'd be Myers and Downs.
Okay, I would agree with you on the wide receiver side. For me, this would be Justin Herbert over Anthony Richardson. I think we saw the switch for Justin Herbert just purely based off of the attempts he was going. Even though they still ran the ball, we saw the most attempts so far this year. We saw his highest game in fantasy this year as well, even though it was only by like 2 points. But still, like Zach said, this could be the breakout game. I think that's exactly where they kind of wanted to go. We saw the first drive, them wanting to throw the ball, and then both of their top wide receivers get injured. But I'm still going to be well. That's my argument for Justin Herbert. But yeah, so give me just Justin Herbert.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think that's fair.
Yeah, Rob, he says need a running back for CMC return, have Mason. So I traded Ayuk for Achan. I think we'll both be okay with that. Your wide receivers are AJ Reed, Deontay Zay, Jackson Smith. Drop Fields ? Have Hurts, love in my super flex. I would say this: if you have a good roster spot and there's no one else you need to drop, I'm keeping Justin Fields because I do expect him to be the starter at some point again. And
in a one quarterback league, I think you move on.
Although he says in Superflex, no? Or is that a two different
I don't know if
two
it's
different
two different
teams?
questions, but
If this is one team, Yeah, in Superflex, I'm keeping him even with Hurts and Love because Love hasn't had his bye week. And the week that Fields plays, or the week that Love has his bye week, Fields, if I'm not mistaken, plays the Washington Commanders. And that's why I had him in the Flock League. But then I dropped him because I just needed to make some other moves because I had people on bye, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
um, keep that in mind.
Okay, well, so I'm trying to understand the question. Need a running back for CMC in return. So let's just say if you're going to sell CMC, I think the names that you should get back if you're not going to hold. Ken Walker is one of those names. Let me have a look.
Yep.
Ken Walker, HN, Montgomery, Taylor, right? I don't think you want to dive into like the Swifts of the world or the Connors of the world. Personally, I don't think you want to go there. Mixon, Kyron, Kamara. So those are the only names you sell CMC for. And then
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I don't think you drop Justin Fields in a super flex league. I'd agree with you. So I think that's the question answered for sure. Appreciate you, Ryan.
Jay Wren, I think I'm saying that. Just Jay, maybe. Is straight trade Pollard for Devonta Smith good? I will be okay with that trade, but also depends on your running back position. So if Pollard is somebody that you really need, or the only running back you have that is viable as your RB2, then I'm not going to do this trade. For example, if you have Zach Moss, if you have someone the likes of like Najee Harris, or right now Travis Etienne, Rico Dowdle, I would just rather keep Tony Pollard. But if you're telling me you have a Dave Montgomery and an Aaron Jones, sure. If you have Josh Jacobs and Devon, sure. Just depends.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pollard is just so safe right now. So I think I prefer him over Devonta, but it is very close. I think they'd be in the same tier, so it depends on the needs of your team.
Yeah, I would agree.
Jake Johnson is the next
Johnson.
one. Start two,
Yeah, I love
Montgomery, Mason, and Brian Thomas, full PPR. This for me would be Montgomery and Brian Thomas.
Agreed. Completely agree.
Cool. Same page. Sanchez,
Yeah.
what's up, man? Says,
Mark
would you
Sanchez.
trade Cook and Brian Thomas for Kenneth Walker and Olave?
No. I think Cook and Kenneth Walker, I think, are both washes. I would want Brian Thomas over Chris Olave. I haven't been a big Chris Olave guy all offseason. Hasn't really been performing the way, once again, you drafted him to in the top, that 2-3 turn, wide receiver 47, even though he missed last week. So if you were to take last week out, I'm pretty sure he was still outside the top 20 type of wide receiver. So I want Brian Thomas and Cook. Or Brian Robinson. Yeah, Brian Thomas.
I think Ken Walker is an upgrade from James Cook, but I do overall agree with the notion that you need to keep Brian Thomas. Bo is the next super chat. He might be the last one. And he says, would you trade Neighbors for Adams to stack A-Rod? No, you keep Neighbors.
Yeah,
it's honestly
absolutely
not even close for me.
Yeah, completely agree.
Malik Neighbors he was on track for 200 targets.
Leak the freak.
You just do not trade Malik Neighbors. He should be an untouchable name.
Malik Neighbors missed 2 games so far, by the way, and still a top 10 wide receiver. Think about it.
Yeah, which is crazy. We do have some team reviews on the site that we haven't had a chance to get through, so let's look at those. By the way, if you want your team reviewed, it's very simple. You can get a team review through the link in the pinned comment. It's this little button here, the team review button. So let's have a look at Scissors' team first.
How
about that?
Yeah, starting 1-5 after some bad beats, assuming I should play for next year at this point. League mates don't value quarterback as high as the rest of the Dynasty Superflex community. I want to trade away Pollard, but haven't been able to get any deals done. All right, so
first off, he is his team name is Rome wasn't built in a Dunze, and that makes him second in the rankings amongst his league.
Yeah, and this is
it's a Dynasty Superflex 12-team start 9 PPR. Why don't you go ahead and go through his team then?
Yeah, looking at the quarterback position, Jalen Hurts, Drake Maye, and the list kind of goes on there. So you wasn't really starting another quarterback outside of Matthew Stafford, and it looks like maybe you picked up Andy Dalton. Look, for the future, I think this is a great quarterback room, but obviously for this year, you're probably struggling. Um, at the running back position, you have Jahmyr Gibbs and Marshawn Lloyd, Antonio Gibson. The list goes on.
This
So
is
not the
where it
strongest
all
running back room.
falls apart for him because his quarterback room isn't bad. It's actually good, but his running back room
Yeah,
is atrocious outside
yeah.
of
So
Gibbs.
this is kind of where you were hurting because you didn't start anyone. Who did you start as your RB2? Because Marshawn Lloyd didn't play, Antonio
Yeah.
Gibson didn't play the first half of the season. Um, Wide receivers is Drake London, Brian Thomas, Rome, Jackson, Josh Downs, and then the list goes on. So your wide receivers are decent. Was leaning on a lot of rookies and Brian Thomas and Odunze there, who kind of had a slow start to the season. And then you have and then the tight end position is also a little bit hurting. So Tucker Kraft and Pat Frymuth, you're 1-5. Um,
Yeah, look, your team isn't actually that bad. Like, I'm surprised you haven't gotten more wins than being 1-5. It's not a bad team at all. I think just the reality of the situation is that your running back depth is terrible, and that is really impacting your lineup. So, if I had this team, the names that I would be willing to sell right now would be Matthew Stafford. We could sell. We could sell. I wouldn't sell any of your wide receivers, to be honest.
no, I wouldn't tell anyone either.
Matthew Stafford, Andy Dalton.
There's actually no one I would sell outside of the quarterback position. I'm happy to sell like Antonio Gibson high in season.
What is in high, a 4th round pick?
Exactly. Same thing with the quarterbacks. There's no one at the wide receiver position I'm willing to sell. And at the tight end position, there's no one I'm willing to sell there either. And what I'm seeing here is that you have four fourth round picks, and one of the first round picks you do have is Noah's team, which looks like is going to be potentially. Well, actually, you technically are the one in. What will be cool if you can order by rank.
Huh?
Or if you can order by team standings.
Right, yeah. I mean, write that down to the devs, and I'll keep talking. But I think at this point, being 1-5, there's two ways you can go about it. You could technically still make the playoffs. You just need to buy a running back, but you have a lot of picks in 2025. You have 3 first-round picks in 2025, and that is a class that should have some pretty good running backs. So if I was in your position sitting at 1-5, I'd probably commit to next year. We're not committing to a rebuild. We're a 1-year punt from here onwards, right? Which means every asset that isn't contributing to us being good next year is on the move. Matthew Stafford, Andy Dalton. Try and get a second for Matthew Stafford. For Andy Dalton, I think you could take a third in a future season. Hold on to Marshawn Lloyd. If you can sell Gibson for anything, you do it. Drake London, Brian Thomas, Odunze, Jason, and Downs. These are all wide receivers that you should build around long-term in Dynasty. And then Tucker Kraft is a great name to build around as well. Pat Frymuth is someone that you could potentially sell if you can get like a second-round value for him in this league. Tight ends are tough to come by, and he's a startable name. So I think like you're at the point where, like, if I was in your position, I probably wouldn't want to win games anymore. I'd probably be like, all right, I'm 1-5. The chance of me making the playoffs is low. It can definitely happen. But in a dynasty league, if you're 1-5, okay, my whole world isn't ruined because now my strategy changes. Now I can look towards next year. I can think about the draft, and I'm going to benefit from being one of the worst records in the league. So that would be my personal step forward. And I don't see any sell highs here. Like, I wouldn't sell Jalen because you can play him next year. I guess if you can tear down from Jalen, it's not a terrible idea. If you can tear down from Jalen and, get a Love or stay in like a good range, a good reliable cornerstone quarterback, that's another not half bad idea. But yeah, you got to build around these wide receivers. I wouldn't sell Gibbs. He's a part of your timeline. So really, the names you could sell: Stafford, Dalton, Pat Fryermuth. Outside of that, you hold and you kind of commit towards next year. And the great thing for you is the biggest weakness of your team is running back, and 2025 has some great running backs in that class. I mean, this team is an Ashton Genty away from being in the playoffs next year and really being a contender. So I love the foundations that you have. You built your team the right way around quarterbacks and wide receivers. And I think you're in a great place to really make noise next year. So
Yeah,
we're sellers.
I'll second that.
And don't be distraught because your team is still very good. I mean, when you consider all of your draft capital and all of your assets, you're not in a bad spot whatsoever. You're really the definition of a one-year punt at this point.
Yeah, I think you should be excited because of how many picks you have in 25 as well. So that can really change your whole team around, which is exciting. So I agree with Zach.
Okay. Any other last-minute pieces of advice before we move on?
No, I think that's
for his
good.
team. Okay, I was actually looking to. Okay, so next one is Billy here.
Sorry,
Go ahead and read out Billy's team.
I'll read out Billy's team. He says currently at 3-3. What's my next move here? All right, Billy, we'll have a look. So looks like you're 8th in the standings here, according to Expert Consensus ranking here. And once again, you are 3-3. So you're kind of in the middle of the pack here, not too bad. And this is a Dynasty Superflex 12-team start 11. So this is a deeper league, PPR.
Yeah.
So you have Dak Prescott, Tua, Justin Fields with Matthew
What's his team
Stafford
name again? Sorry, Shake and Bake.
Shake and Bake. Shake and Bake. So
All right,
quarterback
3-3,
is decent. Obviously, Tua gets injured, but obviously Justin Fields is playing all right. Matthews, Stafford you have, and now you have the Russell Wilson. Now that Justin Fields is not playing, so that's okay. It's not a long-term
That's actually so annoying if I was in his position.
Yeah, it's not a long-term like great quarterback room in a dynasty perspective, but still you have some good quarterback pieces here. At the running back position, Breece Hall, Devon, Jonathan Taylor, James Conner, phenomenal room here.
It's about as good as it gets in a dynasty league.
Genuinely here. And in a start 11, I'm pretty sure you can start up to, I think, 6 wide receivers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Christian Watson, Roman Wilson, and the list kind of goes on. I think
Hopkins.
maybe this is where, Hopkins, this is probably where, like, not the downfall is, but not the strongest room. You have Ayuk and Deebo, who struggled early in the season. Cooper Kupp, who obviously gets injured. Christian Watson, who also gets injured. DeAndre Hopkins, who didn't play, I think, for the first 2 games. So the wide receiver room is not the strongest here with Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, and Cade Allen here. So
Dalton Kincaid has got to be one of the bigger disappointments in Dynasty. There's a lot of names you could talk about, but the Kincaid, I mean, the thought process was tied in one upside, and
100%.
It's not even close. It's so frustrating. But here's what I would say: you don't have your first round pick this year, so there's quite literally no incentive for you to not compete. You're 3-3. This is definitely a team based off the strength of your running back that can still make it into the playoffs. This is a team where I think you actually buy at the deadline rather than sell. Dak Prescott is going to be better. They're trying to run the ball right now. They did the same thing last year, and then they swapped to being pass happy. That's going to have to happen. When Tua comes back, you know you can start Tua with all those great weapons around him. Justin Fields has been someone you started so far. I'd probably play Stafford over Wilson, and then let's hope that Wilson just shits the bed and you have Fields moving forward. But your starting lineup right now, because it's a start 11, so it's basically 4 flexes. You're probably starting Dak, Tua when healthy, then Breece and Taylor. Then at wide receiver, you're probably putting out Ayuk, probably putting out Kupp and Evans when healthy. At your flex, you're probably playing those Niner receivers, so Ayuk, Deebo, and Achane. That's actually an incredible lineup. That's pretty, like, that lineup every week is probably up there with one of the better lineups on a week-to-week basis right now. So I don't think there's any reason for you to sell on a team like this. What I would say is I think you are a buyer at the deadline for some veteran names. Like, for example, he has a 2nd-round pick I don't know enough about the 2025 class yet to say the depth, but I know it won't be the same depth for sure as 2024. So I'm thinking about veteran names now at wide receiver that I could potentially go out and buy. And for example,
let's have a look here.
can I go buy a name like Devontae Adams, who was just traded, a Chris Godwin? Could I go buy him right now? Can I get a Terry for a second? Is someone willing to do that? Could I go out there and add Darnell Mooney potentially for a second round pick? You've already got Cooper Kupp. Can I get Stephon Diggs for a second? Would you go send a second for Amari Cooper after you went to the Buffalo Bills? So those are the kind of moves I'm making. We don't want to add any names like Jalen Polk. He's a great ad, right? I like him, but he's not going to help our team right now. The Keon Colemans, the Jermaine Burtons, the guys who we still like but haven't proven anything just yet. So the Troy Franklins of the world, just speaking out loud. But yeah, I think you kind of have to lean into this. You've already committed to it with sending away your own first round pick. I mean, you don't even have a first round pick in 2026. So there really is no reason to continue to commit to this team, this build right here. So I would use that second round pick. I'd try and find a veteran name there. You don't need help at running back. I mean, honestly, what you could do if you want to think about next year is you could sell James Conner.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe we can sell one of these running backs to get more depth at the wide receiver position because he has great depth. I mean, even if to sell, you can't sell James Conner, but even if you want to sell Devon or Taylor and see what type of high tier type of young wide receiver that's great for dynasty, but it can also help your team win that you can get. That's where my next thing was going to be.
Okay. Continue. No, I hear you. Yeah. If I can get a second for Moss or Connor, I think your team could benefit from having a little extra draft capital in the future if that's 26 or 25, and they're not really needed on your team. I mean, you'd have to go through a lot of injury issues to really need those names. But I think outside of that, you've kind of made the bed that you're going to lie in. Right? I mean, unless you can, but you're 3-3, you're definitely competitive. There's no reason to throw the towel in right now without any future firsts.
And I think the fact that you're doing so well, in my opinion, is probably because of how good your depth was. I mean, James Conner carried. Same thing with Devon in the first early parts of the season. I know Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor were up and down, but they had really good weeks. And same thing with, this team is going to turn around because I expect Ayuk to have better games. We saw Deebo Samuel finally have a good game. Cooper Kupp is potentially coming back this week, right? Christian Watson had a boom game, even though it was only like 2 or 3 targets. Like that's kind of what you hope for out of some of these players. So I think it's kind of best that you continue to do what you do. And like Zach said, maybe those seconds get another young wide receiver.
There should be a ton of positive regression, right, to the mean with Kupp coming back and Ayuk potentially getting back in stride. And I guess the one thing you could do is look at pivoting from Deebo or Ayuk, so you're not having so much boom bust on the roster. But I think in Dynasty it's not something that I would be too concerned to do. But for example, like if you can turn Deebo into a Devontae Adams, do you do that? Do you turn Deebo into a Terry? I think we all would at this point. Do you turn Ayuk, for example? Can you go get Jalen Waddle for Ayuk and get off that train and wait for Tua to come back and get that natural stack? Can you turn Ayuk into a Metcalf in Dynasty or a Brian Thomas or a Jaden Reed? I think that's the only other moves I could think of to try and get off the Niners. But overall, I think patience is going to be your best friend with this roster. You've put together... and I noticed Billy does this a lot. Like he loves to win, which is good. Like a lot of people in Dynasty, they are so focused on the future. They're like, I have the most first round picks in the league. Great. Here's your plaque, right? Billy always, when he sees an opportunity to have a chance to win, he's like, all right, what veterans can I buy that no one is valuing properly right now? He does a great job at that. So,
dude, Billy did that to me. I was like, you know what? In one of our leagues, I was like, Nico's just not going to be anything anymore. I sent him away for like a third. Nico pops off. And I was a big Nico guy before.
That was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, and every single year, Nico's year. It's Nico's year. Oh, new quarterback, Nico's year. And then when CJ Stroud comes in, I didn't think about Nico. I said, who's Nico Collins? And then I sent him away for nothing. Anyways.
That's the definition of blue balls. So anyway, I think you've got a great team for the build, right? I mean, clearly it's an aging team, but I don't think you really need to panic, man. Some of those moves you can make, but overall, I think you're looking good. And of course, you've got the fancy hotline if you ever need to drop a question, Billy.
Yeah, appreciate you, Billy. The foundation, day one, literally.
Billy is literally the definition of day one.
Like, I'm pretty sure if we go back to our channel and have the opportunity to look at the first 100 subscribers, Billy's there.
Yes. Billy is part of the first 100 subscribers. I think outside of my dad, I think he was the first person to sign up to our Patreon when we had like 100 subscribers on Dynasty.
Gosh,
so
that's crazy.
He's the definition of OG. All right, last question for today is Demetrios. What's up, man? He says, "Hey guys, start Vidal or Bucky Irving." This is going to be Bucky Irving for me. Hate the matchup, but he's just more involved than Vidal is at this point, and Vidal's role could grow. But I just need to see it more.
Completely agree. Need to see it more as well. So I think I think you kind of mentioned his role will grow with Gus Edwards not being there, but want to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Vidal's been on that stash video for me. Proofy. It's mental. It's all mental games, isn't it? We appreciate you, Demetrios. But anyway, guys, that is it for today. Our start sits are out for wide receivers, for running backs. Go watch that. I just dropped a stash video as well on the channel. So if you're looking to add some high upside names for free, another great resource for you. And then last thing I'll say is if you haven't subscribed to our Dynasty channel, it's probably because you don't know it exists. I will paste that link in the chat here for you. All right, so go subscribe to that Dynasty channel if you haven't done so yet. This channel will be absolutely dominating our attention, our time, our efforts in the offseason. So go sub to the Dynasty Land channel. Outside of that, we appreciate you all. We answered as many questions as we could. And we'll see you guys soon. And we'll be up tomorrow. By the way, you know, if you do want your question to be at the top of the queue next stream, which will be tomorrow, then the website, man. The website is the best way to do that. And it will send you a time code when we answer it. All love, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night.